Today's guest offers occupational and physical therapy services for children. And what she offers is so important for the kids in the Low Country. Today, we are thrilled to talk to Lindsay Kale of Happy Hearts Therapy.
This is Charleston Women Podcast, where you can meet like-minded, strong, independent, professional, and inspiring local women. This is Charleston Women Podcast.
Now, I would like to welcome Lindsay Kale, owner of Happy Hearts Therapy, to the Charleston Women Podcast. Lindsay, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me today, Erin.
Yes, I think this is a good time to be speaking to you. Obviously, we're going to talk about your services with children, and they're needed year-round. But I think maybe I'm wrong, but sometimes as kids go back to school, like the stressors and the change of environments. I'm just glad that we're touching on this stuff now. So first of all, just tell me a little bit about you and how you knew that you wanted to become an occupational therapist. And then how did you want to focus, on working with kids?
Yes, I discovered that I wanted to be an occupational therapist back in high school, actually. I came across a course catalog that my mom's friend was going to college, and she was reading what she was going to look into. And I just was flipping through and I came across occupational therapy, and it's like, wow, that's exactly everything that I've ever wanted to be, between wavering from a teacher to a physical therapist to a psychologist. It was the definition right there. So I kind of just went forward with pursuing occupational therapy and the degrees needed for that, and went on to practice in the school system for a few years, and then in private practice working with children. And then from there, just kind of took the next steps and followed a dream of opening my own company. And that's how Happy Hearts was developed.
Tell me more. Now, I've been to Happy Hearts. I've been lucky to see the space. It's kind of hard on a podcast to do it justice, to talk about how amazing it is. Let's start with what type of services do you offer at Happy Hearts?
So we currently have occupational therapy and physical therapy services. And then we also are blessed to have a speech therapist who works alongside of us and kind of shares the space with us as well. So we're able to collaborate with all of those disciplines and help families to be able to get all of those needs met as far as therapy services for their child.
And when you walk in, it's so bright and fun. I mean, it almost looks like a playground. Am I wrong? Like, you make it very appealing for the kids who are going.
It does. We have a really nice sensory gym. I partnered with another company called Fun Factory Sensory Gyms, and they came in and we worked together to design a gym that really has all of those motor development needs. So we have the rock wall and zip lines and swings, and we're really able to target the child with all of their gross motor and sensory motor development skills. So it is a fun place. They love coming. It's a jungle gym for them when they're here.
They're eager for their next session to go back, for sure. So a lot of moms listening to this podcast right now, how do we know when our child might need therapy? Because I know you different types, as you just listed, but what would you say for someone who maybe hasn't put a child in occupational therapy and they need it?
Yes, I think that it's one of those things where I feel like as parents, sometimes there's this gut feeling of something might be going on with my child, or they're struggling in some aspects of school, or maybe they're having difficulties with getting dressed and self-care skills at home, or they're out there on the playground or trying to participate in team sports, but they're having difficulty with balance or coordination, or there's picky eating, or just any sort of overall possible delay in development of skills. And, sometimes as a parent, I think they might start to see that, and that might be a time to reach out. One of the first things that you can do is meet with your pediatrician. And when you meet with the pediatrician, you can let them know these concerns. Pediatricians don't always see that. Their role is more of a medical based thing. They're going to ask you the general questions, but they may miss out on some of those things. So as a parent, it's your number one thing to advocate for your child. So it's great to just share that. And you can request, a script, a referral for occupational therapy or one of those therapy services. And then we can take over from there as far as determining if we should set up an evaluation or a screening or a consult, and just look at what the needs might be and just help support from there.
Be part of the conversation surrounding Mount Pleasant. Sponsor the Mount Pleasant Podcast. Podcast marketing is the new, powerful way to brand your business and reach your customers. For more information, visit carolinapodcasts.com or call 843-345-7012.
You're listening to the Charleston Women Podcast.
Do you see sometimes, I imagine with parents, you know what, when it's your first child, sometimes you don't have anything to compare it to. So you might not notice that there's a developmental delay because there's no baseline for you. Do you see that when kids go to school that sometimes the teachers or counselors or whomever else might say like, hey, I noticed this in your child?
Absolutely. There's a lot of times that those parents will have the interactions with teachers, and we'll get a more of an influx of children coming in around conference time or after like the first marking period, or when a teacher starts to get to know a child a little bit more and kind of see what's going on. But yeah, we do see that a lot, that the teachers will be working with the families, which is good. It's good that they have that communication and that open, just being transparent about what may be going on. Because at the end of the day, whether it's a teacher or a therapist, our goal is to try to help a child develop at their fullest. So that's what we're here for.
Whoever sees it, you're there to remedy it and make the child grow and, get better. Let's talk more about the future that you see for Happy Hearts. I remember when you opened, it was a big day to be in your new space, and you've done it. You've survived, you've thrived. What's next for you guys?
It really was. It's great. The fact that we made it through COVID right after opening and just completely having to navigate what is teletherapy and becoming a therapist over a computer screen versus all the hands-on techniques that we normally would do, that was quite a challenge in itself. And just navigating through that was a huge obstacle to overcome. But today, actually, the 7th therapist has started with Happy Hearts. Today is her first day. So super excited to have her on board. So I think at this point, our biggest goal is just slowly progressing forward. I don't want us to become a huge practice where we lose sight of the collaboration that we have, as well as just focusing on the quality of our services and not the quantity of our numbers. That's not what we focus on. So really our biggest goal is just kind of moving forward and helping families in the community, just keeping a presence out there, maybe doing some more continuing education opportunities or workshops for families, mentoring other therapists that are out there, and just really making sure that we're making ourselves known as a resource for families in the community.
We've talked a lot about your services and the children that you help. I want to go back to you just a little bit to talk about you as the business owner, as the entrepreneur, because there's a lot of women that listen to this podcast and they're running their own business or they aspire to run their own business. And as we know, it's not easy, right? So what words of advice would you have? Because I'm sure when you first went to college, you didn't know that someday you would have your own practice, which is amazing. So in hindsight, what would you say to someone who's just starting out?
Wow, that's definitely a good question, because I think that we go through all of these roles as life changes and evolves, and just keeping that main focus there, that main goal that we have. And I would say perseverance is definitely a big factor, and really just following your dream, looking at what it is that you're trying to achieve and just staying positive too. It's so hard to stay positive all the time, but sometimes you want to quit or you get frustrated and you're battling all these other things. And it's just keeping that positivity that this is, I got to work through this. This is what I got to do, and taking those risks, because it definitely involves a lot of risk taking to open up your own business or just follow your dreams altogether. But if it's something that you really want, I think can easily be manifested along the way.
What would you say to someone who is having, a rough day right now, for example, saying, maybe I made the wrong choice, I shouldn't have done this, or maybe I should close my doors, this isn't working. What would you say? Because everyone has those thoughts and those moments. What would you say to get past the hump and just keep going?
I would say just take a break for a minute. Maybe this is a time to just kind of step outside, do something for yourself, take a self-care day to the spa or the beach, or read a book or something to just kind of refocus your mind. I think it's easy for us as women. We have so much on our plate all the time that we can go down that rabbit hole of the negative thoughts and just thinking that this is too hard. This is a challenging, I'm failing, I'm not succeeding. And we start putting those negative thoughts in, and we just need to resurface, just refocus, completely change that, get back into positivity, and maybe just take a break and come back to it. You went into this for a reason. Don't give up on yourself. You can fight through it.
I love it. Don't you ever wonder, I don't think men go through I don't think they beat themselves up like we do. Maybe I'm wrong, but don't you feel like it's a woman thing? Like that's the monologue that we have sometimes, which tends to be negative. Like we're hard on ourselves and we don't need to be.
I think we share that perfectionist trait, and we're all, trying to achieve that. And when is enough, or just giving ourselves grace? I don't think we maybe necessarily do that. But one thing I think we do as women is we share our experiences and we talk about it a lot more, which makes it much more known that everybody else is going through these things as well.
I love that so much. One question before we finish, it might sound weird, but I'm fascinated with people's morning routines. And when I see, a successful entrepreneur, business owner like you, I'm always curious, what do you wake up really early? Do you work out? Do you meditate? Like what makes you to center yourself at the start of your day?
I love that. Well, I will say that over the past 1.5 to 2 years, I've made a huge focus on self-care. So I've spent so much time in times past and just developing my career and following my passion that I kind of put myself and those things to the wayside. So I needed to change that focus and get myself to a really good mental state as well. So I started a health routine as far as my focus being going to the gym. So I have a trainer that I work out with 3 times a week in the mornings. And then I also go to a chiropractor 2 times a week. So it's very important for me to keep that morning routine. And I can tell when I don't, my mind isn't as right, or maybe I'm a little bit more anxious that day, or I'm just not feeling good in my brain and my body. And just keeping that mind body balance really helps me to stay focused and then give me the energy to get through the rest of the day.
I love it. Thank you so much for sharing. For someone listening right now and they want to know more about Happy Hearts Therapy, what is the best way to contact you or start the process?
You can reach out via our website. That's www.hhtherapysc.com. All of our contact information is there, as well as we do have a strong presence on Facebook and Instagram. And you can follow us at Happy Hearts Therapy. And then as far as phone number, we do have texting capabilities as well. And you can call or text. That number is 843-806-3110.
All right. Thank you so much. And we'll put it for anyone watching the video. We'll put everything up also on the screen for you. Lindsay, is there anything that you would like to add that I did not touch upon today?
I don't think so. I'm just glad to have this opportunity to speak with you and really share what we're doing as a practice and just trying to help families and children within the community. So thank you, Erin.
All right, Lindsay, thank you for your time. And this has been Charleston Women Podcast with Lindsay Kale of Happy Hearts Therapy. Again, you can go to their website, hhtherapysc.com. And don't forget to subscribe to this podcast.
Thanks for spending time with Charleston Women Podcast. Please like us and follow us on whatever platform you're using to access Charleston Women Podcast.